Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. And today I am going to be taking a look at an album that came out in 2018 from one of the most respected bass players of all time, and he's credited as the first ever musician to ever record a solo bass recording, and he's collaborated with just about everyone from John Surman to Chris McGregor to Terje Rypdal to Alfred Harf to Paul Bley and Evan Parker, to name a few. And the gentleman I am talking about is of course bassist Barre Phillips, and this is his 2018 recording for ECM Records, End to End. So Barre Phillips, as I mentioned already, he's been around for what seems like forever, since the mid-60s, and he's recorded a number of albums under his name as a band leader, and this particular album marks the final ever recording of Barre Phillips, as he retired shortly after the release of this album. And as I mentioned, he is credited as the first musician to ever record solo acoustic bass. So this album, End to End, features three pieces divided up into several parts. So we've got Quest, which makes up of 5 parts, Inner Door, which makes up of 4 parts, and The Outer Window, which makes up to 4 parts as well. And this album in particular has more of a chamber feel to this. This is not what you would call your traditional acoustic bass solo recording. It's kind of leans towards like chamber classical music, lots of bowed melodies, arco melodies as they are known as, and it's a fitting way for a man like Barre Phillips, who's seen it all and done it all and played with just about everyone. So let's just have a quick look. So there you see Barre Phillips. So as you can see, that all of the parts are quite short. You know, you're looking around 2 to 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and 5 minutes, and one part, which is the longest, is like 6 minutes long. So they're quite relatively short pieces on this album. There's a Barre Phillips there. And there's some sleeve notes here where Barre Phillips talks about wanting to make one last solo bass album before retiring. There's some more sleeve notes there. There's some more. And there's quite a lot of sleeve notes in this album. And there's Manfred Eicher and Barre Phillips, and it's a cute little doggy there just laying there. As you'd expect from ECM, production is top notch, especially when you have Manfred Eicher at the helm. You get nothing but the absolute best. So with this album, normally I always talk about standout tracks, but this is one of these albums where you have to really listen to it all the way through to fully appreciate the kind of music that Barre Phillips delivers here. And it's a very beautiful recording. I wouldn't necessarily put this as easy listening, because some of it leans towards avant-garde, which he has dabbled in the past, but it's a wonderful recording, highly recommended for anyone who's a huge fan of solo bass recordings. And as you'd expect from Barre Phillips, top-notch playing, great production from ECM, as I mentioned, nothing but the absolute best. And it's a fitting final chapter for one of the most respected bass players of all time. And as I mentioned, he's kind of the first guy to ever record solo acoustic bass, because a number of musicians have recorded solo bass over the years. Guys like Dave Holland, Sharnit Moffett, John Patitucci just recently done one, and also Larry Grenadier also recorded a solo acoustic bass album, which I talked about on this series not too long ago. So there's been a number of musicians who have done these kind of albums, even legends like Miroslav Vitchis. He's done a solo bass recording many years ago, back in the early 80s. So there's a nice little elite group of bass players who have done these kind of albums. But Barre Phillips, I would say, is definitely the guy who kind of set the bar for future solo bass recordings. So there you have it, End to End by Barre Phillips, the final recording of one of the most respected and decorated bass players of all time. And if I had to choose a standout track or piece, if you will, I would probably go with Quest, which is like made up of 5 parts. I think that's probably the best track on this album. But it's a fantastic album from start to finish. There's no bad track on this album, and you can't really go wrong with solo acoustic bass. So there you have it, Barre Phillips, End to End. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What's your favourite track on End to End by Barre Phillips? Is it Quest, Inner Door, or Outer Window? You know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Jazz Albums Review Series. So until then, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.